Welcome back. Will Worsham joins us now for this week's Speaking Legal discussion. Always good to see you.
Good to see you too, Tom.
Are you ready to tackle this one?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, here we go. So, my husband had a trust drawn up for us, and we have put all our assets into the trust. Does that mean we're protected from Medicaid if either of us are in long-term care?
Okay. Well, I mean, I understand the question, but I think it's a little odd to talk about being protected from Medicaid.
Yeah, it's supposed to help you.
Yeah, Medicaid's there to help you out.
Right.
But, I mean, the idea is, and what most people are afraid of, and we've talked about it here many times, is that you wind up in that long-term care, and Medicaid will at some point, once your assets are depleted, they will pay for your care.
Right.
And then
but your assets go first.
Your assets go first. It's called a spend down. You have to spend your own assets down to a certain very minimal point before Medicaid kicks in, because it's there for the impoverished people.
But what it sounds like is they're saying we put it in a trust.
Right.
And so is Medicaid going to kick in like boop?
Yeah, and so what people do, and it sounds like what the thought here is that if you have divested yourself of assets, essentially intentionally impoverished yourself, then you're qualified for Medicaid, although there is what's called a 5-year look-back period, typically that if you have given things away within the past 5 years, then that doesn't count for Medicaid purposes. So what people do is they will create what's called an irrevocable trust or an asset protection trust. And it doesn't just apply to Medicaid liens. It would apply to any type of creditor that was coming to seek your assets. Because when you create an irrevocable trust, you don't own them anymore. And you have given up sufficient control over those assets so you can't even get to them if you wanted to.
Okay.
And that protects them from a creditor, including Medicaid. But because of Medicaid's 5-year look-back period, you actually have to create that irrevocable trust essentially 5 years prior to that in order to have complete insulation for those assets.
That's a little look into the future.
We're really kind of looking into the future. Now, there are some other ways around that, because you can create your irrevocable trust, and as we talked about before, you can then, in certain limited circumstances, decant that irrevocable trust into a new irrevocable trust that changes the terms somewhat. But anyway, that's...
The important word there, though, is irrevocable.
Irrevocable, right. You can't take it back. That's how you gave it away. That's what puts it out of your control, and that's what protects it from your creditors, including Medicaid. So to the guts of this question, now that was all just background. Right? I don't know what kind of trust we have here, because it didn't say.
Right.
If it's a revocable trust, which is what most people have, because that's the estate planning tool. That's the one that lets us decide where our assets are going to go after we die, but lets us do whatever we want with them while they're ours.
You're in control of it still.
You're in control, so that's not going to, quote-unquote, protect you from a later Medicaid lien or from the spend-down requirements. You're still going to have to use your assets to pay for your care until they're essentially gone.
Right.
And then anything that you had left over, because they're not going to take your house while you're alive.
No, I mean, I know there are guidelines there.
But then after you pass, then Medicaid would have a lien on that house, and they could sell it and would sell it to satisfy that lien. And that's what most people are trying to protect from, is like, I've worked all my life, I've built up equity in my house, I've got these investments, I'd like to pass them on to my kids, but yet it gets eaten up through long-term care, either through that. So they try to do this where we protect those assets, and then Medicaid pays for our long-term care, which potentially, if you're in such bad shape, maybe you don't care about the quality of your care because you're maybe in a coma or whatever.
Could be.
So, there's lots of things to weigh here if you're going to get into that type of elder law planning. There's nothing unethical or wrong about doing it, as long as you go into it with your eyes open. This is exactly what we're doing, and we know we're intentionally impoverishing ourselves so that we can take advantage of the Medicaid system, and we're preserving our assets for our kids.
Well, you can, but I mean, you're putting the bulk of your assets. You may still keep some out so that, you can live.
You can make whatever decision that you want to. Now, that irrevocable trust, though, it may say, I may put, say, $500,000 into that trust.
Okay.
And I direct the trustee, who would not be just me, I could be one of them, to invest that money and to pay out of that trust for the benefit of the beneficiary, say, $10,000 a month.
Okay.
And I'm the beneficiary. So I'm not the trustee, I'm not in control, but I'm still getting the benefit. Now, that $10,000 a month, that would have to go to my long-term care, unless at some point I decanted that trust, and now I changed it so that, well, now I only get $500 a month.
I've learned a lot here.
Well, I'm glad I could help.
No, talk to a lawyer. That's what I've learned.
That's what you learned.
Once again, because, I mean, now all I know is, irrevocable. That's important. But to take the proper steps and everything, that's a whole different ball of wax.
It's a tricky thing, and there's nothing guaranteed. It's about playing the percentages.
All right. If people want more information on this or, many other questions they have, how can they find you?
My office number is 863-9455. We're on the web, the internet at willworshamlaw.com or here at the station.
That's right. All you have to do is send them a question, wworsham@color10.com. Always good to see you.
You too, Tom.
Thanks, Bill. All right, coming up, we're going to take you to Earth Outdoor Products to show you what they have going on. That's next. Don't go away.
Man, if I'm late for work again, my boss is gonna kill me. Oh, no.
Don't just pay your ticket and watch your insurance rates go up. Go to tadstickets.com for a fast and